on how to collaborate with the student that you're working with on the completion of their learning contract. So you will receive a folder and a student folder access, and in that folder will be the student's learning contract, the required and sample learning tasks, and their timesheet, as well as a safety checklist that is part of the first couple weeks of their internship. So I have for you a sample of a specialized practice learning contract. The first thing I want you to note is just checking at the top and making sure that you have the correct template. If you're working with a specialized student, it should appear specialized. If it's a generalist, it should appear with their name and say generalist. So what you will find are tabs, and the tabs correspond with important information. So the first one is instructions on completion of the learning contract. And if we click on that tab, we will find just basically what I just stated, the directions of how to do this. You will only type in the white cells, and you will see in the cover sheet, you will be asked to fill out the requested information. It really is the student's responsibility to do that, and they are simply sharing the information with you that they're completing. So one of the things that you'll want to review is the assessments or the rating levels that we use for evaluation. At the end of each semester, the field education instructor, in collaboration with the student, provides a rating for each competency using the rubric below. For each of the 9 competencies that are rated, the field education instructor provides a short narrative that names specific examples and supporting evidence of the reason you gave that student that evaluation score, and talk specifically about how the student engaged in activities towards that given competency rating. The student offers a self-assessment rating, but grades are based only on the information that you assess in the end. But we really see that happening in collaboration with the student, more like in a conference kind of setting. So when you're rating a student, you have a scale from 0 to 3. The scale includes a definition if you have a range from 0 to 0.9 of what does not meet competency. And that is where the student demonstrates minimal competency, little knowledge or skill, limited and or inconsistent understanding. There are concerns related to the student's knowledge and practice behaviors, and the student is not on track for successful completion. It's important, if you're feeling like that is where you're going towards for evaluating a student, that you talk as early on in the experience as possible with the faculty field liaisons about your concerns. This is something that will prompt immediate action for coming up with a plan to help the student succeed and identify what are some of the barriers. The first semester, students may be just in their beginning learning stage, and they might be getting what we call competency emerging, a 1.0 to 1.9, and use the range to demonstrate where you see that student. And notice in the bold, it really highlights what we're looking for in terms of choosing this rating. With guidance and observation, the student demonstrates beginning or growing ability to apply the practice of knowledge, values, skills, and cognitive and effective processes of a social worker professional. The student needs continued practice but is beginning to function semi-independently with the appropriate clinical supervision and support. Continuing on, the next level is 2.0 to 2.9, student meets competency. This is where the student demonstrates knowledge, value, skills, cognitive, and affective processes that are consistent and effective, and the student is actively engaged in the field education experience. And the student shows ability to function independently with the appropriate clinical supervision and support. So you'll notice the difference between the competency emerging and the meets competency. We would anticipate that students would have many of their competencies at that their competency skills at the meets competency, both the first and the second semester. And then the last level of rating level is a 3. And this is where the student exceeds competency. This is where the student demonstrates knowledge, values, skills, and cognitive and affective processes in response to complex and diverse situation. The student shows consistent growth, exceeds expectations, and takes initiative with self-learning, use, and integration of supervision. Although this might be possible in the beginning first semester with a student, we don't anticipate it seeing a lot of those exceeds competency until the second semester, because part of the idea of the learning contract is to demonstrate growth. So you'll notice some other tabs. Cover sheet is simply the information about the placement that the student will complete. There's then the learning activities is where the student writes down each competency must include all required tasks and at least 2 additional tasks created by the students. All system levels must be addressed for each competency. There is the competency learning. So this is where you will use the plan that the student and you have developed together collaboratively to provide an evaluative rating. And that will appear here in the white. You'll notice there's an opportunity for the student to do an evaluation and for you to do an evaluation. And then what you'll find over here at the halfway mark, the first semester will be the 250 hours, will be where the student has an opportunity to give a little bit of a narrative about how they feel they did that first semester. And this is where, notice this is provided for each competency, you will provide some narratives that support your rating level. And then you have the same thing at the 500 hour or the end of the second semester, or if that happens in one semester, that could happen if the student chose a block placement. And then the last thing that I want to show you is that the final assessment is a place where we write down when you have, one of the things that will happen with the faculty field liaison is they will be making visits with you and the agency. And there's also place cards for saying when the learning contract was completed and also when there was a visit. And there's an opportunity for electronic signature and date. At the close of the first Social Work 670 Specialized Field Education, you put the date, and this will be filled out by the by you all, and then checked by the faculty field liaison. And then there will be all field education is a pass or fail, and so there will be a giving of credit or credit or no credit and for the course. And you'll notice that the options are a pass, conditional pass, which is the student has made some progress, but there are concerns. So each score of less than 1.0 requires that the student complete a SAFI plan, which is a form that we've come up with to help us all be accountable for the student's completion of moving forward successfully in the program. If a student for some reason is not performing well and does not pass, an academic hearing will be conducted by the MSW field office. But again, we don't anticipate that because these are things that we've been communicating and working through together since the beginning of the student's experience. And there's an opportunity for electronic signature and the date. And then at the close of the completion of Specialized Field Education 2, at the close of 500 hours, there is a course grade that is given, and that is a approval of credit and passing and or no credit. Those are the only 2 options for the final semester. And if you have questions about that, please talk with your faculty field liaison. And we look forward to working on these projects together. It will be completed at the halfway point at 250 hours, or the end of the first semester, and then at the close of the second semester, or the end of 500 hours. Thank you very much.